Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Fabric Tech Talk Fridays. I'm your host, Swetha Mannepalli, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Microsoft. Today, we have a special guest with us, Mathias Halkjaer, our MVP, and he is ready to talk to us about one of the most exciting topics, Fabric Data Agents. Matthias, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi Swetha. It's so nice to be here. I've really been looking forward to this because I've been through the rabbit hole of data agents for the past. Ever since it was released, and I'm getting more and more excited about the feature. So can't wait to talk about it.
Wonderful. Before we get into this exciting topic, Matthias, do you want to introduce about your MVP journey, where you started, how you go went about to become an MVP?
Sure, I can do that. I think I was inspired 5 or 6 years ago by meeting some of the other MVPs, and I just found this sort of community, family, well, bunch of people who had the same passion and the same ambitions like I do. They taught me the ins and outs of how the whole Microsoft MVP works, and ever since that, I've been doing a lot of blogging, a lot of traveling to conferences, and just trying to share my passion with the world. And I've been lucky enough to be able to receive this recognition from Microsoft. It's now around 3 years ago, I
Wonderful.
believe, soon to hit the 4 year mark.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, Now let's get into the details. So, what are
Yeah.
big data agents? I know, many people have been hearing about this in the past few months that it has been out. What are fabric agents and what problems are they designed to solve, really, Matthias?
Yeah, well, I think you and I both have experienced the past 2 years how everyone has started using chatbots. Everyone uses Copilot or ChatGPT or all these kind of things, but they have their limitations. I think we've all experienced them hallucinating, being very certain about things that are definitely wrong, and outright being a little hard to trust. And one of the key missing elements to make them more trustworthy, from my point of view, is to be grounded on data and being like referenceable, so we can actually cite where the statement comes from and what data it is. And I think this is what Fabric data agents bring to the table. A lot of companies will already have some sort of data estate, but with Fabric data agents, can just leverage that into the world of AI.
So, Matthias, how does data agents fit in the Microsoft Fabric architecture? Are they restricted to work within the realm of Fabric, or they interact beyond Fabric?
Yeah, I think that's a really cool part about the Fabric data agents, that they actually work really well inside Fabric. They even play even better with the rest of the Microsoft ecosystem. So it plays well with Copilot Studio. It integrates into Microsoft Foundry. You can even add the data agent to your Microsoft Teams Copilot and chat with it from there. So within that Microsoft ecosystem, it works really well, but it goes beyond that and actually plays well with the rest of the whole global AI ecosystem. You can connect to it through MCP, you can connect through the API endpoint. So you have all these means of connecting to the data agents, and it really opens up a lot of cool use cases, and kind of puts the bar where only the imagination is the limit for for using it.
Very, very well said. Now, whenever we talk about AI in general, things like this, where it can interact with one or more data sources and data across your, enterprise data ecosystem, one thing that really alarms, especially for security folks, CDOs, it's like, what about the, governance? How does
Yes.
the access controls really restrict who can see what? So, can you talk about a little bit on
Sure.
that front?
Sure. I mean, the fear is, of course, that you've enabled some agent and suddenly it's going around sharing your company secrets with employees that's not supposed to hear them or know about them, or even with outside users who are definitely not supposed to hear about them. So a neat architectural thing with the agents in Fabric is that it's very much built around, maybe become a little technical now, but the user token. So it's very much built around how user authentication is happening within the Microsoft Entra system. So whatever user token you are logged in with when you're chatting with the agent, that's what's being passed on to all the underlying architecture and engines. So at the end of the day, whatever query hits the data source to deliver data back to the agent, that's going to be on your user. So your user context is what is querying those data sources. So at the end of the day, whatever data you already have access to, that's what your agent is going to be having access to on your behalf. So it's very much well, tight setup security wise.
That is fantastic because that eliminates a lot of concerns around who
Mm.
can see what, and if I'm restricted to looking at particularly country data, I'll not be looking at the rest of the world data. So it's really neat that it is out of the
Exactly.
box.
And it's like a simple mental model. You don't even have to rethink a new security model, but it's just leaning on what is already there with support for row level security and all these kind of things. So
Great.
it's really neat.
So, I think we talked enough about what fabric data agents are, how does that fit in the whole data ecosystem within fabric and beyond, the access. Now let's get into the demo. Matthias, show us what you got, how to build a data agent, how do you integrate that with the rest of the ecosystem.
Yeah, sure. Let me just show a quick slide so we all know what are the kind of features for Fabric Data Agent. So we've already talked about how easy it is configurable and all these kind of things. So I want to talk about what's on the right side here. So at the core, it's a way to add these data source definitions. So we can pick from the other slide we talked about. We can pick all these kind of data sources. There's KQL databases, lakehouses, warehouses, and many more. Semantic models as well, of course. We can pick these data sources and have the agent base their answers on one or multiple data sources, and can even actually go and ask one data source about a piece of information and use that to formulate the next question for the other data source. So it's very clever in how it can orchestrate a whole almost conversation with itself around what it needs to get for the user. We have a bunch of config that we can set up. We can set up which tables are available for the agent. We can add specific data source instructions, or even add example queries that will actually learn from. So not forcing it to use these queries, but actually learn from the queries and learn the patterns within those queries. And on top of that, we can add like specific instructions for the agent. So if you want the agent to chat or talk like a pirate or like Santa Claus, that's possible, but of course not the most relevant useful use cases. But it helps you like tweak the tone of voice or clarify any potential misunderstandings that it has about your data. So all of these tools and levers is about increasing the quality of the answers that it can give you as a user. And then at the end of the day, all of that is converted into specific instructions for these built-in engines. So there's a natural language to DAX, there's a natural language to SQL, and a natural language to KQL. So there's all these engines that will convert the written prompt, the actual question, rephrase it for that specific data source, and then convert it into some piece of code, SQL, DAX, and so on, and actually run that code on the data source. So it's not just like glancing over the data and trying to guesstimate based on the prompt. It's actually writing queries, getting the data. And as a super user or as an advanced or an enterprise user, you can even go into the logs and the raw like JSON that's delivered, and you can even troubleshoot and see what exact queries did it actually run and which data did it get back before answering the user. So there's a lot of flexibility here,
This is
and we have a lot of possibilities to do even more. I
wonderful.
also want to add some of the more advanced features because there is actually a bunch of extra features that I think not everyone is aware of. So with these two different SDKs that's available, the Fabric Data Agent SDK and the external client, we can do things like automate the creation, change, and delete of data agents. We can programmatically run queries. We can investigate this JSON payload I talked about to get some of these like debugging, troubleshooting details. We can run diagnostics from within the UI. And finally, there's a whole validation quality control framework in the SDK for those enterprise setup where you want to set some sort of a grounded truth. You want in certain questions to check that it will always behave and answer those in the right manner. You can actually validate that programmatically, and you can even run that like concurrently, maybe weekly or monthly, and check that it doesn't drift away from this truth that you established when you set it up. So no
That's
more like fire
okay.
and forget. This is actually self improving platform if you utilize these.
This is
But
great.
yeah, how about we look at how it looks in practice with some of
Oh,
these people?
wonderful. Because at Fabric Tech Talk Fridays, we just don't do the talk, Matthias. We get into the, working, show it in action kind of mode. And let's get there.
All right, here you go. So I've prepared a workspace for us so we don't have to do everything from scratch. So
Right.
the typical use case here is you have some sort of data you want to leverage this within the data agent. So in this case, we have a simple demo lakehouse which has some data that could be interesting. So as with like everything else in Fabric, we just have to go and create new item and find the item we want to create. In this case, it's the data agent. We also have of course, the possibility to create a new operational agent, but this is the data agent we're interested in here. So let's call it the Friday agent in this case. And that's kind of it. I mean, now I have an agent, but it doesn't do anything yet. So we want to set it up. Here I can just find this plus data source button, click on it, and start pulling from all these different data sources that I may have available in my tenant. So as I said earlier, there's a bunch of different data sources we can pick from.
Mm-hmm.
Lake houses, semantic models, warehouses, and much more. And we
Mm-hmm.
don't have to pick just one. So I can connect here to my demo lake house that we just looked at.
Mm-hmm.
And I can open up that up, and you'll see there are some tables in here. I need to actually go and click these tables to actually have the data agent be aware of them. So now
Mm-hmm.
I've clicked to enable them, and that's all good. Maybe there's a small technical thing with our data source. Maybe we say, well, when we talk about employees, or if we talk about fabricators, that means employees. And in this way, I added an instruction to the agent, so it now knows and can use this knowledge when we
Got,
actually run it.
got it. So this
While
is
doing,
just not grounding the data in the sources that you select, but you can also give additional context in the form of that what you just written there, right?
ex-
Perfect.
exactly. Yeah, so we can add all these data source instructions as well. So let's say that in our case, there are some places in our data where our items are actually called stock items. I can actually go and tell the data engine here that stock items refers to the table items, and uh, and it will now be able to kind of use this logic going forward. So that's a good way to kind of add on top of the not just the data, but actually these context improvements.
Got it. So just to reiterate, Matthias, so we for the data agents, you add all these different data sources, be it lake houses, warehouses, semantic models, all that good stuff, KQL databases, all that. Now you can also add additional context, just like how you mentioned, to keep it more grounded on what is the context based questions that might come up. Right?
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all, when we're analyzing data, we have some sort of domain knowledge, we have this common sense, and
Mm,
sometimes the agents just don't understand a particular business area. But adding this extra context will make them
great.
understand this much better and be able to kind of navigate that space.
Perfect. So
And
that's
while
it.
we're
We can
working
use the
here,
data
we
agent
can
already.
Yeah, I mean
Wonderful.
that's basically it. Add instruction, add data sources. You can even test out with the chat here if you want to do that, and
Mhm.
then you click publish, and you have a data agent. So click publish here, and it will give you that. First of all, it's going to deploy it in within the Microsoft ecosystem, as you saw here with a single click. I could also publish it to the agent store in M365 Copilot.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's going to give me this endpoint that I can use. Oof.
You already did that.
Yeah, you're right.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I could just go and click here on the publish to an agent store, and it will just be available here for M365 Copilot. But yeah, as soon as it's published, you can just go and find these publishing settings, and here is the API endpoint that makes you able that makes you that enables you to use it even outside of Fabric. So if we want to ask a question from the data agent, one that would require multiple tables to answer, we could ask something like, which product had the highest sales in 2025? This would require data from both the date table, the item table, and the sales table. And as you see, the agent is actually going to start working on these sources. So we can click this little arrow if we want to see more. We can see the queries being sent, and there you have, like, this is an answer. This shipping carton is the unit that been sold the most. And if you want to dig into it, you can look at what did it do behind the scenes and which query did it actually run. So again, chatbots, not exactly, but agents, but based on actual data, grounded on actual data.
Wonderful. No, this is great. Thank you, Matthias. So, Matthias, now that we have created a Fabric data agent within the Fabric ecosystem, published it
Yeah.
to M365, can you show us, any API or any app that you created with a bunch of
Yes.
agents that can talk to each other? That will be cool
Yes.
to see.
I can definitely do that because I think this is the real power. We enabled it to be used outside, which means that we can start building our own dream solutions. And this is one of my dreams. It's a prototype. It's a cool, neat little thing. But this is an application where any user can go and log in. It then fetches a list of all the data agent that I have available. You see, this is a little old, but if I click the update button, it's going to start discover all the agents that I have available in Fabric. So it's using all the APIs, getting the agents. And you see here, it now has the Friday agent as well. So I can
Mhm.
chat with this Friday agent outside of Fabric. But because it's outside, I can do anything that I can write the code to do. I can do. So I created this, I think, cool little AI console where I can bring in multiple data agents. I can bring in the Fabric Friday agent. I could also bring in my purchasing agent, and then I could ask a question like, um, "What is our biggest purchase order?" or something like that. And the agents are going to be start thinking, and you see here the Friday agent actually now is asking a question to the other agent.
Wow.
It's Yeah. And the
This
other
is
agent is researching, which means it's hitting the data sources and gathering data. It's trying to come up with a good response to the user. So now the agents can actually also collaborate. They don't have to work themselves. And this to me is the power of building a feature like the data agents that are open by nature. It opens up almost an infinite amount of use cases.
This is great, Matthias. But I want to also be mindful that just because you brought the Fabric, Friday agent into interacting with other agents, you're still bringing the security model along with it, right? Wherever it travels,
Exactly. I mean, even if I log out here and log in again, I am being prompted to log in with my Microsoft account, and it is fetching my user token and is using that for all the conversations with the AI. So anything I do will be done through the user, and that's how it works.
this is phenomenal, Matthias. What is the difference? Because now that we have seen the Fabric data agents and how it interacts, what is the difference between a data agent and a copilot within Fabric realm?
So to me, the big difference is that the data agent is based on your data estate. So as a company, no matter if you've built a big mature data estate inside Fabric, maybe you have a lakehouse architecture, or you even may have real time data. You could also be having an on-prem data warehouse that isn't in Fabric yet. I mean, Fabric is so flexible. You can mirror in that on-prem data warehouse. You could shortcut in your data bricks, or if you're using something else. I mean, so no matter which kind of source you have, there's an easy way to get that data inside Fabric. And when that data is inside Fabric, Fabric Data Agent is now an easy way to get that data outside as an agent outside in the world of AI.
This is great. So, for what is the key takeaway for our viewers watching this episode, Matthias, based on your experience with Fabric data agents? If they are waiting to get their journey started with the data agents, what would you tell them?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, like, the key learning here is that to get started is much easier than most people think. I mean, this is of course a demo. Demos are usually easier, but honestly, if you have a good mature data foundation and it's inside Fabric, creating a Fabric data agent and have that data available in the whole agentic ecosystem, it's a matter of hours, maximum days to create it and fine tune it and make it work really well. So I mean, you can get started in the afternoon if you decide to give it a shot.
Now, this is great. Thank you so much for your time today, Matthias. And if you guys are waiting for your Fabric Data Agents journey to begin, based on all the goodness that Matthias shared today, hopefully you're ready to get started. Thank you all for your time. Thank you everyone for watching. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to hit that like button.
If this is your first time visiting the Microsoft Fabric YouTube channel, be sure to smash that subscribe button.
Drop a comment below on what you would like to see on the future episodes of Fabric Tech Talk Fridays.
That's it for today. See you all next Friday for another deep dive in the Microsoft Fabric.